that people need to see. They need to see black men, not just What's up, everybody? This your man, Mr. Visa 360, and you're listening to another episode of the Evolution of Fatherhood. Today, we're here in Minneapolis, where everything is going down, sparking protests throughout the country. We're going to talk about George Floyd, and we're just going to get to it. Mike, let me just tell you about me. Today, I couldn't sleep last night. Gunshots. People protesting, sirens, everything. I'm just like, I didn't really get super dressed up today. I just came in because we had special guests coming in, and I just feel like, man, dude, is it too much? It's just too much, man. It's just too much for me today. And I'm usually tough on some stuff, and it ain't about tough. It's just like I'm pretty adaptable on certain things. But this stuff, man, this whole rioting, this protesting. Everything, people coming from a different cities coming into our city, messing up the city. It's just throwing me off a little bit. And I don't know if it to be sinister. I don't know to be angry. I don't know to be okay with it. I just don't know. So I don't know how you guys feel, but that's what I feel today. And I hope we can get some clarity today in the show that we talk about today. Guy?
Is it more or less you just kind of asking kind of what's that frame of mind? What's mind right now?
Yeah, what are your frame of minds today about, all this that happened since George Floyd passed?
Yeah. It's tough to put into words, brother. I'm still at a loss for words. I'm still in shock over what happened still managing and coping with the pandemic, number one. Still dealing with that, and people losing jobs, and people on furloughs, and people trying to protect themselves and their health, and people trying to manage and cope with all of that. That's the first thing. And then on top of that, and then providing obviously service to folks who need those resources even during this pandemic. But the other thing is I'm still in shock over the murder of George Floyd. I'm still in shock over it. I'm still grieving that. I'm still grappling and trying to process that. And then the aftermath that has happened since then in terms of the protests and then the riots, and then the burning downs. I mean, just the chaos and disorder, and just, I can't even begin to really even articulate how I'm feeling right now, other than somewhat numb, because, we've been here before in terms of black men, law enforcement, and community relations with the police, right? We've been there, historically for a long time. And just healing from a number of those different things in terms of what we're doing. And so for me, I'm just, still at a loss of words. But I think one of the things that's troubling the most these days is we're trying to protect ourselves and protect the businesses and our communities and our families and our women and our children and our folks, is that the infiltrators that are coming in and just really only adding to the chaos and confusion and complication and disorder, and now in some situations even death. And so for me, I'm still grappling with all of that. And I think that it's just tough. And for those that don't know who I am, my name is Guy Bowling, co-host here with the Evolution of Fatherhood, along with my esteemed colleagues, professionals, Michael and Anthony. But I'm a director, being an educator, I'm a trainer, I'm a motivational speaker, but more importantly, I'm a father and a grandfather. But yeah, so I think broadly on a macro level, there's so many things that's at stake here and at play here, and so many factors. So I'm still grappling and processing it all, Anthony.
Yeah, Michael.
Go ahead, Mike, if you can hear me. Go ahead in terms of what's your frame of mind these days, brother Mike?
Pretty much what you was just saying, Guy, man. Very angry, saddened, sickened to literally watch this man die on screen, and then to look into the eyes of that officer. To me, when I looked at it, he was saying, "Now, what you gonna do about it, nigga?" And that's the message to me. And I mean, man, I'm with you, man. I'm lost for words. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. And this is one situation I'm not able to sit on the sidelines. It don't matter. Man. I can't sit on the sidelines on this one because once again, when I watch that video, man, I'm a grown man. I'm not ashamed to say I cried to hear that man beg for his life being called for his mama. We all know when we call for mama. If a black man called for his mama, we know, man, it's trouble, brother. He calling for his mama, his protector. You see what I'm saying? We call for our mama because our mama was using us to nurse. You know what I'm saying? And it hurt, man. You know what I'm saying? To watch that brother, man, call for his mama, man, to watch him die. I watched him die. It was hard for me to watch that video, but I watched him die. And I watched that man looking at the camera now what you gonna do about it? Murder. So I'm with you, Guy. I'm numb, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And, man, we can't let this roll over, man. I can't let it roll over my spirit. I can't.
Yeah.
And civil unrest it seems like it's gonna be the only way. And I don't necessarily agree with everything that's happening, but I do.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it, man. I'm tired, man. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, brother.
It's deep what you said, Mike, because his mother actually passed away 2 years ago.
I just think that in the lieu of everything, man, I'm just like you said, my emotions is high, running high. Like you said, the agitators, you know what I'm saying? It's just so many different things going on. I want to take 9 seconds because that's how long he put his foot on his neck for 9 minutes. We'll just give 9 seconds of just silence for George Floyd for passing away in Minnesota, man. Okay. So the evolution of fatherhood, we talk about fatherhood issues and things that concern fathers, but we also have to sometimes use that as a platform. We have to use all our platforms to talk about what we're talking about what happened today. I mean, what happened over the week. And I just want to use my platform to bring some attention to that and to fathers and what we go as fathers of teaching our kids and being in this world and what does that mean to tell them to do the right thing and be forthright and still get murdered, man. I just can't, I don't know what to do, man. I don't even know what I can do. I felt like when I was watching it, Mike, I felt like I would, if I was there, I think I would have pushed dude off. I don't know. I just think I would have did something. I couldn't just sit back and let that happen. And that's just me. And maybe I'm being over dramatic or something like that. Maybe what I could have, would have, but I think I would have pushed dude off, at least pushed him off or something, got in front of him or something. Because that's that picture of him with his neck, with his knee in his neck, looking in the camera. That's ingrained in my head for the rest of my life, man. That's some bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? And so without getting too angry and too off the beaten, we're gonna bring our guests in that have dealt with something like this, that's been a part of something like this, and he can speak upon this along with a community member that's going to add into what we're talking about. And so I want to bring in our guest, Mr. Juan King, Rodney King's brother.
Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Hello, Mr.
hello.
Juan. How's everybody doing?
How you guys doing, man? Excuse me, man. I got tears in my eyes, man, because I'm hurt. But what I do want to say first, man, you guys is, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
introduce yourself so people can give context of who you are.
Yeah,
Mr.
my name
Juan.
is Juan King. I'm Rodney King's little brother. And I'm a CSH Speak Up advocate for affordable, supportable housing. I'm a stable staff at the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, where we distribute donated food out to the various organizations throughout the community. I live in Palmdale, I own a home. And, you know, my life's pretty much been cool up until this incident, man. And what I do want to say to you guys that have voices, and you guys have very good voices, is that we need to make it known, and this is the fact that will eliminate the third-degree murder. At some point in the 9 minutes, that officer had to feel that Mr. George Floyd's body went limp. Now, we got a minute, maybe 2 minutes after that to revive a person. But the fact that he didn't let his leg up is complete, unquestionable evidence of intent and, premeditated murder. If we argue this in court and we make our arguments with the ingredients and the science of reality, which is the fact is he felt that man go limp, but despite that, he still held his knee on that main vein for additional 3 more minutes after that, which is evidence that he knew what he was doing. And this is how we need to attack the higher courts. I don't want to talk too much. I want you guys, you know, just fire away with whatever you want to know, man. Again, I was front line with a lot of Rodney's life prior to the beating and after the beating. You know, I do know that as long as we give them ground to justify certain things, I mean, stressing a point is cool. You know, we got to do what we got to do to let them know that ain't nobody tolerating this type of racism or hate or just informative information towards us to where they can just take our lives, you know, without any remorse. But you guys go ahead and ask me whatever questions you like.
I want to start by saying, just like I told somebody, I don't think that guy, Officer Cabin, woke up that morning thinking that he would be the catalyst of changing the world right now. I'm pretty sure he didn't think about that. You know, he's just going to business as usual. And so when we see that, I go back to, it did make me think about Rodney King in the sense of like, man, tell us if you want to, how did all that play out for you when you heard the same information George Floyd's family got about Rodney? What was you at? What was going on? What did you think when it happened? And, you know, what was the process of going through that?
Well, you know, to be honest, guys, I was kind of in tune with my community at that time. And yeah, we were, you know, trying to establish as a people, let's say people of color, we were just trying to push for a greater depth of freedom and opportunity. And, you know, while doing that, we experienced a lot of, competitiveness, which brings in hate. As a result of us wanting more and trying to do more, it brought in the hate. Yeah, maybe Rodney was drinking. Maybe he was going over the speed limit, you know, but when I heard the whole situation about him getting beat, I knew off the top that beating stemmed from something other than what they said was the reason why they beat him, you know, and that just opened up the door for, yeah, you know, our way of thinking as far as prejudice goes. We as people of color, we have to make them adjustments for them, because in their mind they feel like they got to compete, and by all means necessary they go every chance that they get eliminate someone of color if they're having that bad spirit that day. Now we may, you know what I'm saying?
I
So
totally
it's
understand.
basically the hate is what steers up first. You know, because again, Rodney was pretty successful at the time. You know, he had just got out of the institution, reestablished his life in, I think it was general maintenance, you know, at Baltimore Car, and was on the road to doing good and recovering when he had a relapse, was drinking, hanging out with some friends, and then the officers on a back street pulled him over, seeing he wasn't totally in his right mind. And being that he was black, they beat the shit out of him. And I know it stemmed from other things as well, but it happened to him and we experienced it. And man, I was toe up for a while. You know, they had to put me in what's called a isolation, solitude, confinement for a while, because they see my behavior was not consistent at that time where I was at with the rules.
Okay.
So that just goes to tell how much it messed me up, you know. Did nothing matter at that point. It was like whatever, you know. But again, I will say that we don't need to adopt that attitude.
Right.
We need to target this situation right here,
Right.
in the professional manner, but utilizing the facts. You know, at some point, you know, Rodney went numb too. He went out, and then they put the Ziploc bag. I think he told me, if I'm not mistaken, that they put him in a Ziploc bag and zipped it up, and he unzipped it and let him know he wasn't dead.
Wow.
Wow. Anybody else want to, Mike, Mike, you want to say? Guy?
Yeah.
Mike?
Mike, do you have a question for him? If you can hear us, did you have a question, Mike?
Yeah, I appreciate you being on here, Mr. King. I was thinking when you just said something that I think was really important for a lot of viewers to recognize. When you said when that happened, it tore you up. And so what I get from that is mentally, what you're saying. Mentally for you, you went to somewhere else, a dark place. Could you talk about a little bit more of mentally and psychologically what that meant for you when you heard about your brother getting hurt and what they had to do for you to put you in isolation? For some people, they might not have that isolation to go to, and so they have other avenues which might push them to drugs, alcohol, abuse, rioting, or what have you. Can you talk about that mental piece of what it did to you when you just heard about it? That's your brother. You see what I'm saying? That's your brother. And Florida is our brother, and King was our brother. I just want you to talk a little bit about that, the mental piece.
Yeah, you know, mentally, it's hard to explain. You know, the Bible said the heart is treacherous, who could know it? But that same principle applies for when you deeply are attached to someone. That's why the system created what's called crimes of passion, momentarily insanity, you know, because that's what takes place, because your emotions is coinciding with the incident that happened, sympathizing for, you know, that lost loved one, as well as just a numerous amount of neglect on their behalf, which gives a sense of hopelessness. So at that point, we lose all senses, man, all ability to reason correctly. I mean, some people have more patience than others, but we're talking about a situation where technically, you know, we're trained to defend and look after our brother. Am I my brother's keeper? Yeah, I'm my brother's keeper. And when something like this happens from an authority figure, from a powerful person that we really know we're not supposed to challenge, you know, unless it's presented in a way where we have no other alternative. So I lost it. At that point, I'm like, you know what? It's whatever. I'm not thinking, and I didn't care that I wasn't thinking. I just needed to ventilate. I needed to let off some steam, some hurt, some fear, some doubt towards faith, in a government that are allowing these agencies to employ people who has that much negligence towards the Constitution. Yeah. The Constitution simply states what they're supposed to do as peace officers, correctional officers, lawyers, judges, doctors. It's simply stated in the Constitution. And once anybody violate that Constitution, it's like people taking away your food, telling you can't eat. At some point, we go crazy. We get fear. We get angry. So we lose it. And it's actually normal, because these are emotions. Like they say, anger is fear turned inside out. Mm-hmm. And they're both are emotions. These is just a natural process. Now, some people in law say, no, you shouldn't vent this way. But who can put a limit or a percentage on how much each person can take and what they can and cannot do in a situation like what we just experienced with George Floyd or Rodney King?
Tell us. I had a question for him, but go ahead, Anthony.
I want to make sure that everybody understands. TC Collins is in. TC, tell everybody who you are and what do you take on what we're talking about so far? And Guy, we'll get back to your question.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm anybody special, just another black man in this society that's affected by the continual oppression and terrorism that's been exacted upon our people for as long as I've been alive, and I'm only 28, and as far as I know, for the last 400 years. What I do is advocate for youth that are experiencing homelessness. I run a mentor program called Brother to Brother. It invites predominantly young men of color into a safe space for them to vent about what's going out there in society. My thoughts on the matter at hand that's in Minneapolis is the same sentiments that these brothers expressed earlier. That proverbial metaphorical knee that was on that brother's neck, the image that I never forget that's ingrained in my mind also. And when I look at it, it's just the symbology of it, the evilness that you've seen in that white man's eyes, and what that represents to us as a community. And just seeing how comfortable he was on that man's neck as he was defenseless and crying out to his mama or asking for his mother. And I didn't know that his mother had passed away 2 years ago. But I felt that fear that was in that brother. You know what I'm saying? You could feel that fear as he's approaching that last breath and who he's calling for. And it hurts. It hurts. Earlier this week, I was having emotions. I was crying, angry. Didn't know how to regulate my emotions. And I am somebody that prides itself on being able to stay level-headed. The more that it goes on, like the more after the fact, the aftermath is having me kind of be settled in and more to get more strategic in my thinking and methodical in my thinking like I am, and not being overly emotional just because I want to express it's not just one isolated incident. And that's what I'm tired of hearing. That Rodney King wasn't just one isolated incident. This is something that goes on in the community on a day-to-day basis. And it's important that we have cameras that catch what's going on because it needs to be sparked. It needs to be an outrage. I seen a comment on here that said this shouldn't be a race issue. And I don't know if that person is black or not, but don't sit there and act like it's not an agenda that is out there to eradicate what we stand for. And what I mean we is the righteous people of this black community, the people who do care about the culture. It's a plan out there to eradicate us. It is an agenda. So to you, it's not a race issue. But to us, to me, it's a race issue, and it's bigger than just a race issue. It's the powers that be against the people at the bottom, the people at the in the bottom of the low socioeconomic pool, and where that is always predominantly black and brown people. So that, not to go off on a tangent, that's my mind frame looking from my lens at all this.
No, that's good because your shirt says it all. Black equals threat. So that's exactly what that is.
No. So what it says is black doesn't equal threat.
Okay. Doesn't equal threat.
Because when they do see us, that's what they see. You know, as a man who's 6'4", 6'5", I understand my frame. I understand the presence that I bring in certain environments. So I got to be extra cognizant. So I wore this shirt to express, yeah, they see me as a threat regardless. They see me as a threat regardless. If people didn't know what I do on a day-to-day basis for my community and the things that the positive outcomes and energy that I'm trying to put out, if I'm walking around quiet and to myself, I see the looks that I get. You know what I'm saying? People are, they conditioned to be scared of what I represent, you know? And I think that's on both sides of the token, not just, you know, and that's on both sides. And not to even get into too much, you know what I'm saying, on that. That's how I feel, you know? We are considered threats.
I appreciate you sharing. Guy, you want to pick up where you left off at?
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you for sharing that, because no one can tell you how you feel, and you feel if it's a racialized situation. They can't dismiss your feelings, even if they disagree with you. They can't disagree with how you're feeling about it. So I'm glad that you shared that, brother. You see. For Brother Juan, I wanted to go back to a couple of things that you said in terms of what was behind the feeling that caused someone to feel that way towards an individual, to do that to Mr. George Floyd. What was all the things behind that led up to that for them to operate in that way? But at the same time, you also think about what is it behind the feelings of the folks and that some consider marginalized or disenfranchised, that made them react with the frustration that they did in terms of the protest, in terms of it wasn't just that incident, but all the things that led up to that in their lives, where enough is enough, because people will blame the folks reacting in the way that they do, in addition to the protest, thinking that they're operating out of the prefrontal cortex of their brain, which is rational, which is logical, but that's not what they're operating out of at all in any kind of way. So you trying to explain to them, don't do that to your community, that's not computing, that's not translating at all, because they're not even operating out of that part of their brain, especially considering the fact that if they're younger and their brain is not fully developed. So with that being said, this program that we have here, educating the masses on who we are and what we're trying to do as men, as fathers, calling it the evolution of fatherhood. My question to you, Brother Juan, is, can you tell us a little bit about taking it all the way back in terms of what contributed to who you are, who your brother was, and your family? What was life like for you growing up in the household, brother, in terms of what was the conditions like? What was the community like? What was it like for you in terms of just what you even thought a father was, and what contributed to you even making some of the choices that you made that might not have been the wisest choices?
Say that last part again for me, please.
What was, just tell me, how'd you grow up? What was your family like, brother? What was your community like?
Okay.
Yeah. Where did you learn?
I'm gonna answer that. I'm gonna answer that right now. But my brother with the braids, with the dreads, I want you to know, man, you said you're not important. You're very important.
Yes, sir.
He's very important, and I hope he can hear me, because it's people like him that stands front line, speaking to people that a lot of us don't want to speak to, because we don't feel that the change can be made. Right. But what you doing, you're important, and you need to know that you're very important, because a lot of people won't speak up. But now to answer your question, sir, predominantly we grew up in Altadena, Pasadena, around minority generation. Majority, which means a suburban, white, Spanish, blacks, Asians. You know, it's a little bit different in South Central. But my mom was a devout Jehovah Witness. My father, he had a drinking issue, but you know, he still maintained a fatherhood about himself, and pretty much implanted in us, you know, what's right, what's wrong, you know, how to conduct yourselves around other races. And to be honest, man, he really didn't push a color issue until it came about. You know, when he recognized some prejudice or something, he addressed it. But for the most part, you know, we was raised to see no color, man. Mm-hmm. You know, we embraced it, all people. We were educated in simple English, math, reading from elementary all the way to high school. We did, you know, pretty much stuff that a family do, you know, although this was like 60s and 70s and 80s as well. Time was a little bit rougher. Excuse me. So we made ends meet, you know, cleaning these folks' toilets, houses, office sweeps, you know, Brentwood, Hollywood, Bel Air, PCH, if you know what I'm saying. Burbank, you know, we pretty much had a family that made a decent, okay living. I'm not gonna say decent because we was poor, but you know, we respected these people, man. And you know, like they said, like I said, we were in their house, cleaning their houses, washing their sheets, you know, pretty much doing janitorial work for a lot of these rich, powerful people who at that time was very powerful, you know, and to watch the tables turn years later, to see those type of people's children react towards my brother the way that they did, it was very hurtful, I felt very betrayed, very let down. Because I'm like, I know one of them officers knew exactly who he was. You know, we were the King family. And in Altadena, my family was pretty much, you know, cool with all races of people. Love my people, but we were cool with all races of people. And that's pretty much how we was raised, you know, just fear God, try to do what's right, try to avoid the law. If you get involved in the law, you know, for whatever reason, yes, sir, no, sir, you know, and give them their respect. Don't be no punk, but don't challenge the law, you know. And when this happened, man, I just simply, you know, again, mentally lost all understanding of all that I was trained as a youth to do, you know. But again, that's how I felt.
I was gonna say, was your father alive when that happened to Rodney?
Thank God, no, he wasn't. No, and I say that respectfully because, man, he would have tore up the town. You know, he probably would have took it out on anybody that he felt prejudice towards based on that. You know, and I'm quite sure he would have did some devastating stuff because, you know, when it came down to his kids, he was serious about us, you know, and he laid his life down for us, you know. So I'm thankful that he wasn't alive for the mental sake of it, as well as the fact that he didn't go out and get himself, you know, in no trouble.
I think that's why I wanted. That's another reason why I created this show, because of that. You know, fathers do so much. You know what I'm saying? They raise their kids up to go through adversity and to know that your son or your daughter is being handled in a certain way, and we see these images. I just want this show to be like, put some humanness on us, is that we are fathers, we black fathers, we fathers of color, we love our kids, and we don't want to stand around and watch you do that, man. You know, I don't even know, man. Like I said, last night it was just a lot of stuff going on. I got a lot of mixed emotion. I'm just like, man, burn this bitch down. I don't give a fuck. I'm mad, but the other part is like, hold on, wait a minute. So I just want to ask, you know, what did you guys do when that was happening? All that confusion, all that contention, all that rioting, all that anger was pouring out. How did you not say it's okay to do this, man? We feel vengeful. We have a right to do that because of what happened to us.
You asking me that question?
Anybody? Yeah, anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
What helped me to maintain somewhat a little bit was the fact that I knew that at the time, predominantly there was a race of people, and we all know who they were. We can identify with them once we're in their company. You know, those people was employing, piggybacking, manipulating, utilizing other people against our people. Now, they did it so smoothly that it wasn't on camera, but there was effects. There was effects of things happening. We had delay in getting jobs. We had the 3-strike scheme law come out. We had the drugs, which they in some point planted it on us. They had tossed down guns back in the day. If you was close to a dirty weapon that they threw down, that case was yours. We had welfare, Social Security, unemployment. These elements was denied us according to the due process. There's a due process, and the system was just filthy, corrupt. Even administrative people, city and state, was manipulated by this wicked force to hurt our people and to hurt people of color. And they did this in attempt to eliminate some of us either in institutions, death, drugs, violence, manipulation. Whitney Houston said it real good, mass confusion. And we couldn't speak on it. We couldn't speak out. There wasn't really nothing we can say. So eventually, when Rodney's situation hit the TV screen, that was our voice. And we used that situation as, and it was our voice. But unfortunately, I told him in an interview, you guys just do the right thing. They wouldn't. They acquitted the officers, and within 24, 48 hours, LA was on fire. So I was happy, forgive me for saying it, to see another tactic of pushing the point to them. So that helped me to kind of digest some of it. But you know what? I can't really tell you how to feel, man, to be honest, because I don't know how to feel right now. I'm just trying to utilize the past as a means to hope that someone higher up, but lower than God, will take action to make sure that that man is sentenced to the maximum, and that every community that is damaged is replaced, and that people can get what it is that they got coming, plus a little bit extra, so things can go back to normal.
And with that being said, now that you've been through that, you've seen it, what are you seeing now in Minneapolis and across the country that you can sit back and, as you're experiencing, say, oh, I see this is not what it is. Oh, I see this is being distorted. What are you seeing that you're watching and going, nah, that don't sound right. That don't look right. What are you seeing different back then that you see now that you can use your experience to tell people that's watching this and saying, hey, they're rioting. What are they doing? They burning up their stuff. What do you see? We're seeing agitators come in. Talk about all of that. Talk about what do you see now, being the expert of being through one and now seeing it play by play. What do you think we should do, and what do you think we should be watching out for?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing first and foremost. I see a bunch of white people, Spanish. I see a whole lot of other people this time out there involved because they understand exactly what we understand. Some of them didn't even believe that this type of stuff happens. What we need to watch out for is hate in general. We need to send a message to whoever needs to know that hate right now, 2020, it ain't cool, because their own people is in fear now for their life. They don't know what individual of any race now, as a result of that, is going to try to use them as a retaliation, and us personally, this is something, you guys, that's probably never going to go away until God comes, but we can get an upper hand on it in terms of how they go about doing it. They're going to be a little bit more cautious. They're going to be a little bit less aggressive to impose a disposition on someone because of what they were informed or what they may think they know about a person. They're going to do a lot of more research prior to just, okay, he had dirty money, he tried to break down the system, he invaded our white territory, or whatever race. They're going to think twice. They're going to pretty much do the right thing, hopefully now, because like I just said, it's been more people of different ethnic groups involved in this than in my brother's incident, which means as time has lapsed, more and more people is becoming aware of the abuse of authority in certain places. So, you know, we just got to keep on keeping on and always have our activists and our people that speaks up, you know, with the professional education, dialect, intellect, continuously approach these Supreme Courts, appellate courts, superior courts, and any other attorney, district attorney. You know, they need to constantly be in their ear and reminding them, you know, these are the repercussions for administrative and authoritative negligence. And so, you know, it's just so many angles to approach it. We just got to come up with a valuable approach that will close the door on everything, you know, except for them to listen to what we're saying. If that makes sense, hopefully it does.
Yes, there's it. TC, go ahead. Next. TC?
You can go ahead, TC.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanna piggyback off of what Brother King said. As far as can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what I wanted to say as far as adding to what Brother King said about it being more people out there in the streets now than that back then, what immediately popped into my head was the social media, the social media platform. You know what I'm saying? Being able to expose these evil people, expose evil racists, and hold people accountable that we have appointed positions that they supposed to be guiding and protecting or making the policies that's upholding the righteousness that's supposed to be up in these communities that they've committed to serve.
That's right.
Okay.
I want to piggyback on what TC just said.
Hold on.
It's more than just people out there on the account of George Floyd's death. As I said earlier, now like we got people who actually want to see the government. We have been being shown in the news, and let's say the news is like feeding us false information, and you can go to the
excuse me.
Right.
I think what TC is saying that he's in a paraphrase. He's saying the social media is giving us a false narrative of what they see of us, and so we need to take control of that, or just have a different voice by coming out and talking like we talking now. I think that's what he was trying to say. I could be wrong. And so with that being said, Guy or Mike, anyone want to ask Mr. King or Phil a follow-up question or anything?
Yeah, one last thing. I think Brother King, Brother Juan was saying about we've learned so much, and what's different about this situation is that the community that's being affected is a little bit more, and also who are protesting are much more diverse in terms of who the cause means something to and why they're out there. And I think sometimes that can have certain members of law enforcement hold back in a sense, because it's the whole community that's coming out trying to say enough is enough, right? And you got allies, you got people with privilege and power that need to use more of it to continue to push this forward. Because the last thing we want to do is put ourselves in harm's way and just create something we don't need. Because right now, a lot of people are feeling it's just, it's open season on black men. A lot of folks just feel that way. And we know it's systemic. We know that for certain, based on all the things that Brother King talked about in terms of what led up to that, as far as all the disparities, just the structural pieces that are going on in terms of why we're continuing to be affected by it. But my question to Brother King is that one of the things that's most troubling to me is, all of the accelerationist folks that are coming in and taking advantage of the situation and trying to exploit it for political gain, or even trying to create and spark a race war, in a sense, to you got folks who are it's just part of what their motivation is, or their mission is to come and disrupt things like that and create more chaos and disorder in a different way than I've ever seen. Particularly, it almost seems like it's sanctioned from, powerful people in politics saying it's okay. And so you got this division, but you got people who are coming in and disrupting those things intentionally and creating problems. Did you experience that, witness that during the time with the uprising in LA? Anything similar? And if so, what was that like? Or if not, or both, what would you share with us that we need to do to address the people coming in and use this for political and exploiting this for their own cause and purposes?
Unfortunately, he dropped out.
Okay.
So hopefully he'll bring back in. But since he and I grew up in the same neighborhood at the same time, in fact, Juan was, I've known Juan since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And he was like really one of my best friends in high school. In fact, a lot of people don't know I didn't get in any fights because I didn't have to worry about nothing. Because that brother was always there. So,
yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. I was filling in for you, Juan, because you had to take a station identification break.
No, whatever. I accidentally touched something that sent me off the page.
Hey, I want to say this. Mike was going to comment on TC's comment, so let Mike speak on that, and then we'll get back to you, Mr. King. Just in time transition. Go ahead, Mike. You want to?
I was just going to say it was also tied into what Mr. King was saying, the historical piece of social media and what television meant for the '60s. I remember watching an old documentary, and a lot of white people who were North said they had been hearing stories of dogs being sick on people in the sit-ins and all the civil rights movements and marches in the South. They didn't really believe it until it showed up on the TV screen. They said it became their reality. So, and to what Mr. King was saying and to what TC was saying, that now you have more people. Because of social media, they can get an idea of what's really going on, so they can come and say, whoa, this isn't how we want our country to be. Like you were saying, Mr. King, now you got more people and diverse, as you were saying, Guy, groups of people out here protesting this because they see that this isn't right. And social media has a huge part to do with it because of the access now that people didn't used to have. In those times, in the rural areas, they didn't know what was going on. But now because you have TV, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got all these other social media links, people can now come out and they can see some of these injustices, and they can no longer sit and say, I don't believe it. Because if we wouldn't have had them people recording that, we would have went off the fact that this man was resisting arrest, that Rodney King was resisting arrest, and that would have been the end of the story. And that's how it would have been. Would have went off the police report. I went to school. A lot of people didn't even know. I went to school to be a police officer. And one thing that we talked about was reporting. What you write down is pretty much a law. If the perpetrator can't prove it. All you have to do is be drunk. He was drunk. How do you know? He was incoherent. You see what I'm saying? So what you were saying earlier, Mr. King, was we had covert injustices, covert hidden. Now it's overt. It's right in our face. Almost saying what you're going to do about it. Right. So that's all I want to say. And I just want to talk about the historical piece. And I'll talk about that later as we close. The historical trauma is what you were talking about, Mr. King. The historical trauma that we see over and over and over again. It's almost like lynching, modern day lynchings of our people. So at some point, you're going to push somebody to the edge and say, you know what? What's going to happen? We're going to revolutionize and we're going to fight back.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want to say.
So, Mr. King, what I'm hearing you say is that it starts even in the city government. It starts in the community. It starts rallying, protesting, doing like we're doing now, and galvanizing that, like Killer Mike said, strategizing, coming together, and keeping putting the pressure on people.
Yes,
side note, like Amy Klobuchar might be Joe Biden's vice president. Well, we know that's not going to work because she proposed all the cops as ever. She never prosecuted any of those cops. So we know what her mindset is about that. So why would we even attempt to give her a platform? There's nothing that she can say. They said, well, I was young back then. I didn't know. No, you knew, and you didn't do anything. And so as you pointed out, Mr. King, you don't get our vote. You don't get our endorsement, you don't get anything. You can move around. That's your punishment. Move around. And so I think what you're saying is that we take more action towards that. We build more platforms through our social media and the people that we're connecting with, and we hold them accountable by video and by tape. Even though they try to dismiss that, it's hard to not see that. When they play that tape in the courtroom, because I believe he's so arrogant that he's gonna be like, I'm gonna take a trial. Like, he's not gonna get in trouble. So when they play that tape, when they play that tape, and 12 jurors look at that tape and say, "You telling me what you're watching is not what you're watching?" You're gonna say that? They're not. They're gonna be compelled to do the right thing. They're gonna have to do the right thing. And so,
well, what you describe it as gaslighting, Anthony. That's what number 45 does a lot. It tells you that what you're actually seeing isn't really real. So listen to what I'm saying to you. What you're really seeing isn't real. He wasn't really necessarily leaning on him. He wasn't putting pressure. That's what gaslighting is. That's a classic definition of what gaslighting is, to get you and convince the people that they're not actually seeing or hearing what's happening. It's not their reality. You just believe that's what's happening. That's what gaslighting is. I just want to say that because it's a great what you just said of what gaslighting is. A great example of it.
So here's this is a side note. I don't know if you watch the tape. I noticed after just focusing on the cops kneeing him, if you look underneath the car, you can see his extremities leaving his body. You can see that. And I was like, whoa, that tells me when your extremity leaves your body, that's pretty much over with. And you continue to be down there. So again, for people who's watching the show, you're uncomfortable about the conversation that we're having. We're talking about the rioting and the protesting that's going on in Minneapolis. And we're talking to Juan King, Rodney King's brother, who was there when it all started in the beginning, to give some context of what we're talking about today and how we're feeling. So that's what we're doing today. We got young TC in the building. He's a young African-American brother doing things in the community. We got his voice, Mike, myself, Anthony. And we just want to give you all a small synopsis of what we feel. We are 5 Black men, different ages, different mindsets, and we have the same consensus on what we just saw and what we're going through. We make no question about it. We all can agree that we're angry. We all agree that we have some type of emotion to this. We all believe that something should be done, and we're holding people accountable. And we're going to use this platform to talk about that today. So I thank everybody that was watching. We ain't leaving yet. I'm just thanking everybody that's been tuning in and commenting and haven't got a chance to send it, like Juan, the architecture, all the people that's been watching, Select Busby, everybody. And so with that being said, we got like a couple more minutes left. TC, you was out, you're back. What did you want to say?
See, what I did just come back in and hear was about the case. If a case does make it to trial and about the 12, I don't have no faith in this. I don't have no faith in this this justice system, because they just doing what they was honestly created to do, which is control the which is not protect and serve the people that are being controlled. You know what I'm saying? They more for the benefit of the elite class, MPD, or I don't know what they training their officers, but I know it's been out there that the guy that had his knee on brother Floyd's neck has a history with being violent towards people of color in the community, and not just him, but I think Towles, the guy that was controlling the crowd. They had 3 people on this. They had 3 people on this brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't need to see more video than that. You don't even need the video evidence, but they will take it to trial. And I don't have no faith that they'll send this man to prison for life like he should be. Honestly, get the death penalty, a life for a life. But that'll be me, acting off the emotion and really hoping that this world was perfect, for everybody that they take from us. It should be. But I'm not going to get into that. I don't have no faith in this system to actually serve us the justice that we should be served. That's the reason that they getting these riots out in the streets. This is just the tipping point to what the communities have had to endure by the people that's not just the cops, but who the cops serve, the people that's above them. They, like I said, they just doing nothing but carrying out an agenda. And until we able to mobilize, organize, and really strategize a definite way to fight back and cut the head off the snake, then we'll continue having these conversations and, you know, coming here. But what it is, I do like the global outrage that this has, you know, sparked, you know, different states. Like back in Mississippi, where I have moved from to up here, they, you know, calling me like, man, I didn't know it was like that in Minnesota. And, you know, they under the impression that Minnesota is nothing but filled with white people and that it's a progressive state. And when I go back and I tell them, like, man, the stuff that I had to face up in Minnesota is it's like a whole culture shock compared to what I had to endure up in Mississippi. You know, you have to learn how to really maneuver and be strategic in your manner with your blackness up here in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have to encounter that until I moved up here. If that just putting that out there, that's all I wanted to you know, say.
All right, before we wrap up, hey, Guy, do you want to give your last 2 minutes, and then I want to end with Mr. King, and then Mike, you can do the assessment of what you said about what you wanted to do about this. So, Guy first.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's been a pleasure again. Thank you, Brother King, for coming on the show. Your insight, your perspective.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Your wisdom, knowledge, intellect, brother, has really been informative for us to take heed to in terms of what you shared, and also some things that we can begin to think about as far as what Brother TC was just saying, strategizing and organizing to hopefully not let this go underneath the rug, you know, and really push forward without necessarily only contributing to more violence. Because one of the things that's most troubling for me is just all of the hardcore folks that are encouraging these neo-Nazi folks, these white supremacists, you know, all of them that they're coming to the protest to carry out acts of violence specifically, right, against Black people, with the goal of just exacerbating the tensions and sparking, you know, a race war, which is we can't fall into. And I understand TC's frustration. So I don't know if you experienced that at all during the uprisings 30 years ago. But if you did, I just want to know, how did you combat it, or if you did or not? And then what are some things that we can do to not only keep moving forward and ensure that, you know, Officer Derek can be brought to justice, but at the same time keeping our people calm and not putting ourselves in harm's way.
Right. The question, was you asking me a question?
Yeah. The question was, have you?
I missed some of it. You blurred out a little bit.
The question was, have you experienced those infiltrators, you know, in terms of trying to pit folks against one another and trying to turn it into a race war or whatever their political cause was, and really tried to disrupt what the protesters during the uprising were trying to do?
They're called agent provocateurs. Agent provocateurs who come in acting like they're part of the group that's protesting, and they incite riots, violence, destruction of property, and things like that. Agent provocateur, that's what you're talking about, guy.
Yeah. And for the folk, you know, they got different terms for them and because they come from different organized groups, but they're the ones that's burning down the businesses here in Minnesota.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you, like a brother told me, man, and then I heard a brother say, we may have to use whatever elements, help, whether it's in opposition or in accordance with what we're doing, as a means to accomplish what it is we need to accomplish. If they want to join in with everybody else and tear some shit up and burn some shit up, go for it. But then we as individuals need to watch our backs towards them. No words be spoken. You know what I'm saying? Just identify who these individuals are and allow that help as well to accomplish a ventilation. Some people say, no, you're wrong for saying that. But when the law lets the people down,
right?
Okay, we have no other protection at that point. Right. So if they want to disarm themselves in attempts, and quote me, in attempts to rearm themselves, we just take advantage of the fact, okay, you in partial agreement with what we're doing. On the other hand, I already know that you are a manipulator of my people against me. See, because this infiltrated now, it's in the stock market, people. It's in the law form. It's in a lot of things where these people have turned families against each other. I can tell you front hand, I'm not going to say my brother turned against me, but I do know that he was manipulated to at one point perceive of his own family different based upon what they told him about us. These people need you, but on the same token, you need to do this and do this with your money, Rodney. And this is what's more important right now. But that was their indirect attack against us using him. So people, once again, you know, if there is intruders in the circle and we identify them, then we need to maneuver ahead of them. And what they call that, when you spear something off into another direction, like they can detect a missile shot in the sky and shoot it down before it has effect.
Right.
That's the same principle with these imposters that joins the crowd and fake as if they're in, you know, total agreement for change, but they're really causing chaos. You know, we got to use what we got to use. But I think at this point, and this is why some things keep reoccurring, because some of these people in high places know about this already.
Right.
And they figure, okay, this is another way of calming this down. But no, at some point we do need to calm down, regain our senses, fall back and see what they're going to do. But we need to constantly keep our foot on their neck in doing right, like that officer did George Floyd.
So, Mike, you get the last word. You want to assess this? You want to talk about the part that you do that you wanted to, guys, could you explain that to Mike?
Mike, can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear Anthony too.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so man, all I want to add to this was, man, you know, as from a therapeutic perspective, we're dealing with a lot of historical stuff, man, that started a long time ago, before even Brother Rodney King, man. And as someone said, it's just being recorded now. That's the only thing. It's all being put on tape, on social media, where we all can see it's been happening. It's been happening for a long time. And I just would say, at the end of the day, even after all of this happens, we still going to be a lot of healing that needs to take place. So to anybody who's watching, self-care, take care of yourself, man. Get yourself healthy. You know what I'm saying? Stay safe, because we do have people out there looking to hurt us. And it's a lot of trauma we're dealing with, y'all. Now I'm going to take off that hat for a minute. I'm going to go to a father, to who I am, to the hood, black dude that I am, raised in the dirty South. Do what you have to do, man, to keep yourself safe.
That's
There
right.
is an attack. It's a word called race. It's only really one race, y'all, and that's the human race. But right now, the power structures have designed something that's called race. And if anybody knows what a race is, you look up the definition. It's a competition. They put themselves in a position of power to win. We need to unite and get ourselves together, like my brother just said. We need to get our money together. We need to be strategic and tactical in what we're doing. Us trying to promote and do it with violence, unfortunately, ain't gonna work for us, because they have everybody else working with them. They got all the guns, they got all the power structures to hurt us. We have to do it a different way. We have to be strategic. We got to be smart about it. You see what I'm saying? I'm a father. My son was out there last night. I didn't get no sleep. Real talk. But you know what? He's 22 years old. And as a father, I did not discourage him. I told him I was actually proud of him, because when I first asked him, I asked him right away. I said, hey, man, why are you going down there? And he said, Dad, we can't sit around no more. We can't take it no more. And so you know what? I said, you know what, man? This is what you do. I gave him a power plan. I told him what to do. If you feel unsafe, if you get cornered by some white men and they got badges, you get down till you naked, because they might kill you. I said, get in your drawers, man, and you come out with your hands up. I said, if some white men look like they have to hurt you, you run. I said, ain't no time to be tough, boy. I need you to run. I need you to haul ass, because you're going to make it home. And I seen him this morning. I got up early this morning, and I went to check on him, because I love him. They're attacking us. Ain't no way to play around this. I ain't going to sugarcoat it. Yeah, it's hurt, it's trauma, and it needs some healing, and we're going to have to heal after this. But at the end of the day, we're hurting. People are tired, man. I'm tired. Man, you know how mad I am? Dude, I took off work. When I looked and seen this brother die, I seen me, I seen my uncle, I seen my friend, I seen my brother. And I seen a man look right into the camera. Somebody said earlier, let's not make this a race thing. That man was out for blood. I have to humbly disagree, brother. That man was out to hurt somebody that didn't look like him, because he did what he did, and he watched him die and kept his knee on his neck 3 minutes after the man passed out. That is murder. And unfortunately, I'm with TC. I don't trust the judicial system to bring them to justice. So you know what? I don't necessarily agree with burning, but man, I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself on that one. I want to keep my job. But we gotta do what we gotta do.
Outside of
We gotta
this,
keep fighting.
Go ahead, TC. Go ahead. We
outside of
go.
this,
No.
after,
We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. Keep whatever you feel
what
like.
I
We
gotta
keep
say
going.
is, after everything is burned up, Black people need to put their money where their mouth is, support Black businesses, get these GoFundMe started, put money back into our community so we can be the ones owning everything that's in that community. If they really down. If they really down for the culture, you not just gonna sit around, okay, if these people coming in burning Black businesses, we got us. Villages. We gonna put the money and rebuild that black business. Like I said, it gotta be strategic. We gotta be able to get back, pull our money together, and start putting our money where our mouth is. If we ain't gonna take the violent route, which is laying down arms for your brother. Because like you said earlier, I wouldn't have stood right there. One of them cops would have got up. And I know that's not a mentality that everybody gonna take on. I know that's not. And I'm not telling everybody take on that. I'm not telling everybody to take on that. But when it's important to you and you care enough, it's going to have to be changed. We ain't going backwards. It ain't going to ever be the same after this because it wasn't good for us when it was the same anyway. So when we moving forward, how do we progress us?
Hold on for a minute. Mr.
I got to say, TC.
Hold on for 1 second, Mike. Henry, Box, Boom. We trying to answer questions, man. I hear you. What we're going to do is we're going to get all you guys' questions, and we're going to do a recap of question and answers of next show. We're gonna talk to you then. Go ahead, Mike.
I want to say what TC is saying. I totally agree, man. Unfortunately, man, it can't be no peace, bro. We have sat around, we have marched, we have done all the things we're supposed to do. That's why somebody asked me, so people are burning down their stuff. I said, it ain't even their stuff. First of all, let's be clear. It's really not their stuff. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real. It's not their stuff. They are killing us, man. How much do we have to take, man? Seriously, though. How much do we have to take? I can sit in this house in my nice, comfortable setting, or I can get my ass up and do something. I'm tired of talking, man. I seen too many of my friends and my son out there. I said, man, we got to do something, man. It's hard to be this restraint, y'all. You see what I'm saying? It's hard to be this restraint when you watch a cold blood murder, man. He murdered this man in front of us. I can't pretend like I didn't see that. I can't, and I just had a goddamn baby, man. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm like, man, how can I restrain myself and continue to act like this right here deep inside of me ain't want to come out? I told my supervisor, I said, I got a beast inside of me. That might go. I tried to assassinate that Mike. I said, when I watched that man assassinate my brother, I think that might come back like, hey, bro, we can't go no more, man. We can't go. That dude is coming back. That angry black man, that's who I was. He coming back after I seen that video. I'm telling y'all, man, it reawakened something inside of me that was becoming dormant. I can no longer pretend, man. I can no longer pretend like this ain't happening because it's too real. They did it in front of us, y'all. They dared us to do something. You see what I'm saying? I ain't even trying to incite no violence. I'm just telling you, they dared us to do something about it when they murdered that man in front of us. Looked in the camera. He looked in the camera, man.
Yeah.
Looked in it. Like, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm with TC. I ain't throw a bottle, kick, and I ain't knocking the little sister or the little brother or the lady that was there.
I'm not.
Everybody ain't got the same mentality. I'm saying, man, it's hard to sit there and watch it.
Mike,
Do
and
something.
Mike, and this what it is. You ain't have to run. You ain't have to run. We ain't have to throw nothing. You could have walked up. You could have walked up.
Anything.
You could have did anything to take that attention off. And that's why I say when it's important. I was just arguing with somebody earlier this week. They telling me that the girl is traumatized, and I'm like, I understand she's traumatized. I'm not thank her for getting the video. But I guarantee you when it's important, and this is not to her. This is everybody that was out there. That looked like me. That looked like me. So I'm going to be moved and compelled enough to get moved. But that's the state of affairs that we got to be on accord with each other. I got to look and I got to see you as a brother.
That's right.
First of all.
So it's deeper than that.
I got a question for Brother King, if he's still there. Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, sir.
So I'm pretty sure all of us can feel the emotions of both TC and Brother Michael, professionals, but as men, as fathers. But my question is, in Anthony too, we felt exactly like Michael and TC are expressing right now when that happened to your brother. Most of the country felt that way. There were young black men at the time. I was in my early 20s. I felt exactly like TC, Brother Mike is feeling right now. and I wanted to destroy something. I wanted to act out because I had no real understanding, nor did I have options, nor the education on what I could actually do. So what I decided that I thought I could do was to act out violently. I didn't. I was able to get elders in my ear, but I felt the same rage that I'm hearing from Michael and TC. How, and you said you felt it as well, wasn't able to do a lot at that time, or not sure what you did. How were you able to get through those emotions in the way that you're hearing from these two gentlemen to be able to put yourself not in harm's way, but to continue to push for change and make change?
I got it. Okay. Brothers, let me say this, man. The rage is normal. The anger is normal. The hurt is normal. God is basically understanding this more than what we are, because the what we feel is as a result of the product that Satan, the devil, has created and executed. And all we can do inside is get ourselves worked up to the degree where we become his advocate. So we got to maintain our composure. My brother's situation happened almost, 30 years ago? But since then, we have experienced some oxygen in our situation. We have experienced, and excuse me for saying this, but my brother was in a form of sacrifice that bought us out 30 years. We've been, there's been things happening since then, but to that degree, it bought us some time. And this is what we got to look at, the bigger picture is, just relying on the fact that, sad to say, George Floyd's death is a historical moment as well. Hopefully it will give us some more leeway and opportunity. It will show the superiors, man, that, we're not going to just sit back and tolerate this type of crime against us as a race, as people of color, or for this matter, anybody. We're not going to just stand for it. So this situation bought us some time. I wouldn't want his family to hear what I'm saying, because I would be very upset. But what I do know for a fact from experience is the situation with my brother happened for a reason.
Yes, sir.
And, it helped a lot of people of color. It brought us certain justice. But then again, like the Bible said, do not be surprised if the justice is lifted up from the earth. Because we're dealing with an invisible spirit. We're dealing with Satan, the devil, to be honest. When y'all look at that man killing that man just recently, that was the devil. And he was trying to take the life out of something God created. And he did. And God allowed it. But because God allowed it, we have to respect that and continue to pursue these negative people on a very educated level. We have to start, like this coronavirus attacked the American economy. We have to do things in such a way to where they feel our presence, and they're going to acknowledge what we're requesting. But if we go out there and retaliate, they retaliate, we lose lives, they lose lives. 9 times out of 10, the situation ain't going to be good for either one of us. I don't want to lose none of y'all, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I know at some point we got to do what we got to do, but for the most part, we're at a point now where we can actually try to get the world of powerful people to put the brakes on what they feel, what they think they want to do, and start targeting us in terms of giving us back our jobs, giving us back affordable, supportive housing, giving us back an opportunity to eat at a restaurant, to go to Magic Mountain, Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, all these places for $12, $11, $12, $13. You know what I'm saying? Instead of $25 and $50 and $100. Because what they did is raise the prices on a lot of things and made it even more difficult. And so we need to start attacking this economy, man, and funnel it back into the community of minorities and people of color.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what to say yet.
I'm not saying don't be
angry. One
angry.
thing I can't appreciate about everything that has been going on, though, is the fact that we haven't been just attacking random white folks. I have to say that because I really do appreciate when I watch on the news, I see on the news, we ain't just attacking random white people. You know what I mean? Like it was a little
right,
in LA, but Minneapolis, I haven't seen, and I ain't saying it's happening. If it has been happening, I haven't seen it on the news. But I've been seeing this white folks standing down there in solidarity saying, hey, man, we standing with our black brothers and sisters. Because I seen an interview on TV yesterday. I can tell them they was trying to coerce her to say something. This white woman. The white woman's business got destroyed, man. That white woman said, man, black people for the longest been asking for this. She said it. She said they've been asking for just equal justice. She said, so I understand their frustration and I understand their pain. Man, I felt so good because the woman could have been like, man, my life's work, everything I put into this business. But you know what she said? She said, black people been asking for this. She put it out there like we can't sit here and pretend, white America, that we're not seeing the injustice that's happening to these people. Jane Elliott asked the question. If you want to be treated like black people, stand up. Not one person in that room stood up. So it's no mystery that black people is getting mistreated in this country. And we can say we don't want to make it black and white, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It used to be a gray area, but this is a black and white thing. We're seeing us being mistreated. Man, come on, y'all. How many shootings there been? We ain't even talked about Breonna in Kentucky because what happened? My man Aubrey got shot. You see what I'm saying? And then Breonna, and then this happened. I think so much outrage has happened with this because it was really, like I keep on saying, right in our face. I was traumatized. And for that young lady, I'm sad and upset that people are attacking you online saying you should have did more. You know what? The fact that you recorded it, that was enough.
Yeah, that
because
is
you
enough,
didn't have to do that. But people are attacking. She's 17 years old and she's a minor. She every day of her life, I guarantee you, something's going to remind her of that situation. Just simple as walking down the street, closing her eyes, and this is what we talk about. We talk about trauma. Like you just said, guy, remembering Rodney King and beating that street, man, you'll never forget that. You'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was a young man, but I'll never forget it. And then the police getting off. That's trauma, y'all. That's trauma, that shit that gets planted into our brain, to our psyche, we never forget about. And it comes back and it shows up in many different ways. And Brother King, I guarantee you, this brought back so many different mirrors that flooded your entire body, your mind, and everything. That's what trauma is. That's the thing about trauma. I'm going to say this real quick. I'm going to shut up because I'm talking a lot. No. But look, the brain is where everything starts. You see what I'm saying? And when something happens with trauma, it sends signals to your brain. Now, your body don't know no different, but what your brain tell it. So when something is traumatizing, you say, well, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? Ain't nothing happening to them right now. Their brain is telling them something is happening to them. And because their brain is telling them something to them, they're responding. That's what trauma is. Your brain gets signals that, hey, something is happening. This reminds me of something. Remember when you got beat? Remember when you seen somebody get beat? Remember when you got hit by that car? Remember the house fire? Remember the rape? Remember the murder? That's what trauma does. And it sends signals to your brain and it comes back. I can't tell you what you felt like, Brother King, but I know when you seen that, something came back over your body and said, oh no, not again. Like you said, you was living good. You been living good where you at, brother. You was getting cohesive with your community. And here we go again. That's trauma, y'all. So every time we see this, signals get sent to our brain and tell us, man, it's happening again. Even if it ain't happening at the time, it's happening again. That's what trauma does.
Yeah. That's
how powerful the brain is, man. It stores things. And when triggers happen, that's what it triggers. It comes back, boom, we respond. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I'm traumatized.
We don't even realize we was traumatized as kids. Certain situations, certain times of the year, we like, damn, what's wrong with me? What happened? Then you remember, damn, this is the year my mom died. This is the year that my brother got shot. This is the year that my brother got beat. That's what it sends back to your brain and helps you understand. And your body feels it. And it's a book I read, I've been reading called The Body Keeps Count.
Hey, anyway, you know what? Let's do this. To put this in context, to even show y'all this, I don't even want to. I think it's necessary to put it in context. So we're gonna show you some footage of 1992. We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna finish up that, and we're gonna go from there. So, start click me. We're gonna take a second. We're gonna see something. We'll be back, and we're gonna talk about that. Because Mike, I think you made a good point about it coming forefront in your head. So we'll see what that is. Go ahead, Brian.
Man, you don't get tired of eating eggs and oatmeal.
Channel 9 News. Channel 9 News on the motherfucking black neighborhoods talking shit, trying to make us look bad, but they ain't doing nothing.
I'm sure everybody was in a different state of mind at the time, because I was. Because I never felt like that before, and if I felt like that, I know they had to feel like that, or worse.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
I went up and down Florence Avenue and on a corner of Normandy and Florence, and I just really kept my camera going most of the time.
Everything is free. Everything is free. Right.
I seen a man beat to the ground basically, and I walked up on that and he had a big hole in his head from a speaker being thrown at him or something, and he was like passed out. And some people around him, they started spray painting him black and saying, you know, you're black now, you're black now.
He's black now! He's black now!
People ask me, you know, well, why didn't you help this man out? He had at least 8 people around him. Now, what could I do? You know what I'm saying? I would have been on that ground too. I basically just stayed out of the way. What I wanted to do and why I was over there was to document what was going on.
I remember the night that the riots broke out. It was a Wednesday night. As we pulled up to Carlos's house, I remember it was dark, and his daughter came. His daughter Mona, his older daughter, came running out. She said that the city was burning. You know, LA City was on fire, and people were fighting everywhere. And we kind of thought, yeah, right. We went in, and gosh, I just couldn't believe what I saw on the TV. She was right. The city of LA was burning. So as we're approaching the city, we're coming into Los Angeles, you start to smell the smoke. You can see the fires. And I started to worry then. I started to get a bit concerned about my children. And I remember asking him, I said, we don't know what's going to happen during this time. If anything happens to me, promise me you'll take care of the kids.
We got called out that next morning, thinking that it was all over, and we went right into a hornet's nest. It's something I never would have imagined happening in my lifetime. Maybe in one of those movies, those futuristic movies, Mad Max. That's what kind of, just to watch these hordes of people just running through the streets with TVs, VCRs. We even watch a couple of people roll up in taxi cabs, and the taxi driver kept the meter running while they went in and grabbed some TVs and VCRs.
On that corner is where my father tried to hold down face down the crowd. And at that corner, also my mother was shot as they were trying to leave the location. We were under gunfire when we arrived to the location. Our van sustained bullet holes, and people were throwing Molotov cocktails into the store, and at that point we no longer felt that we can defend the place. So we tried to leave. And when we saw patrol cars outside, we thought this is our chance to leave, and we thought they were there to help us. But to our surprise, they proceeded to arrest us. I've never been in war, nor have I ever had people point their guns and shoot at me. nor have I had the opportunity to
Hey,
point
I'm still doing the
the guns and
show.
shoot at other people. However, having been through that, I felt like I'd been through a war. Our losses were in excess of $2.2 million, including the building and the inventory. We're not even accounting for the economic damage that we've suffered. I think it'll be a show of defeat if we do not rebuild. We've taken a licking, however, you can't keep us down.
The next morning, we were packed and ready to leave, and I had a speaking engagement that I was speaking 1st of May at, and we had to fly over to Hawaii. We were in the car, and we were actually listening to the news and trying to figure how to drive to get to the airport, because the airport was getting ready to close down. And we could see barricades in the roads and streets as we were cutting across our way to try to find a way. My husband said we should try to make it if we could, because it was so chaotic. He was very scared for us, and he thought that if we left, we would be safer, actually. He actually thought that. We got to the airport, and the airport was still open. Within about 2 hours when our plane left, the airport closed. We flew over, and in 5 hours, when we arrived, the first thing we did was obviously turn on the TV. And what happened to me was I was getting angry. I had no power. I was thousands of miles away. I was safe. I was trying to say to the television, why are you guys doing this? Why are you not giving people any power? Why are you increasing the violence by what they were doing? And I realized the media was getting off on seeing people hurt. And that impacted on my decision to run for the mayor's race, because I wanted to talk about women's and children's issues, and I wanted to be part of the process. Now, even if I wouldn't win, or couldn't get my voice out there, even if I'd be censored, even if I'd be blacklisted.
I will tell the story of the day that Rodney King, the verdict came. I was at school, and everybody in the offices, we were leaving school, was like, did you hear, did you hear, did you hear? And everybody was saying what the verdict was. And at that point, nobody knew what the impact of it was going to be. And a lot of times last year, or the previous years, I would make a decision about driving home. Oftentimes, usually,
We back? Anthony, we back, everybody?
Yeah, I can hear you. My phone.
You can hear me, Brother Juan? Michael, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
My battery, I had to plug in the plug. That's why I changed locations.
Oh, okay. Well, again, appreciate you staying on with us, brother, this entire time. We went over.
But I'm back.
Yeah, but it was necessary.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. So let's do this. I don't want to read. I don't want that to bother Mr. King. You know what I'm saying?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you guys allowing me to be on the show, man. And again, man, I'm greatly saddened for that situation, but I'm happy you all have addressed it and is addressing it, because this is what's necessary, man. We need, people with you guys' skills, man, and talent and wisdom, to voice your opinion. Because a lot of us, we even myself, I ain't really got no good education, but you guys very intellectual. You guys are very observant and aware. So yeah, it's a grand opportunity to be on this show with you all.
Thank you for that. I don't know what to tell everybody, man. I hope this show was insightful. I hope you got a chance to see us as Black men talk about issues that concern us fathers talking about issues that concern us in the community. TC made a good point. Mr. King made a good point. Mike brought us home with the therapeutic version of what's happening. God gave some insight. I just want to say, I want to leave you guys understand this, man. This show is a platform for fatherhood, but we will take time to talk about issues that addresses anything that affects us. And so I want y'all guys to know that we are going to be recapping y'all questions. And so next week we're going to do questions and answers, and hopefully the people that tune into the show will be able to do that. And with that being said, I'm Anthony Tunstall, aka Mr. Visa 360. You've been watching Evolution of Fatherhood. Before I sign out, I'm gonna let Mike, Mr. King, and Guy get the last word. Mike, what do you got to say for the people that's watching and they're about to go away? What you want to leave with them that watch the show today?
When I was able to get out of my feelings, I thought about something, and I want to make sure that I'm being careful. That we have to be careful with our words when we say things like what we would have did if we were there, because it's kind of shaming the people that were there.
Yeah.
We got like that young lady. She's a little girl, man.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about intent over impact. I know the intention isn't to shame her or to shame that guy that was there, but to say, hey, it's a lot of different things that could have happened. But I think it's easy to say what we'll do when we're not somewhere. But because when we're actually in that situation, it could be different. Feelings, emotions, everything. Like we always say, hindsight is 20/20. Yeah. Right. When we look at it, like the fact that we know he was gonna die, yeah, we might have intervened. But who knew that man was gonna kill that police? And also, just be careful with our words, man. You know what I mean? I seen shirts, to make this really quick, they used to offend me. It says, I'm not my ancestors. And I heard people say, if I was enslaved, I wouldn't have did this, I wouldn't have did that. It's similar to the situation. Well, you don't know what you'd have did. Even if it wouldn't have hurt you or impacted you directly, it could have hurt your family, your children, and so forth. So that's why a lot of men probably didn't have the ability to fight back, because it would have hurt their family, not just them, but also their children. You see what I'm saying? So let's just be careful how we say words and things we say, because it can be very hurtful. And I don't think that's really the intent. Right. That's all I got. Right. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Mr. King, man, for taking time out today, brother, to listen, man, to share, give us your insight, man. I really appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Mr. King,
you guys too, man. Thank you.
Mr. King, you want to leave the last words for the audience that's watching today? I'm pretty sure they've been impacted. They've been having some type of feeling about this. What do you want to leave with them before we leave the show?
Well, I just want to quote two things. One thing I want to quote is, had those bystanders with the phone camera probably try to do something, the way those officers' mentality is, they probably would have killed everybody there, because they wouldn't want any witnesses. So I feel like, they did what they could do, being that these officers had guns drawn and was in position to use them. Some people may have thought differently. I think I probably would have went ahead and stepped close as I could. But again, I can't say that neither. So I don't want them to feel like they did a bad thing letting that man die, because the Bible said a live dog is better off than a dead lion. So we got to think, but at the same time, it coming to, each and everybody make their own decisions. I don't want to say anything bad about the people that just stood by, but if the numbers was high enough, yeah, they should have been pushed out of position of killing that man. But that's past tense. In conclusion, I would like to say that we can't forget this situation that has happened. Like, we can't forget Rodney King's situation. We have to always use this in the forefront to address whatever may come up and where we want to go and what we want to do. But, again, we cannot forget and disregard what we saw. What we saw is what we saw.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Guy?
Yeah, for me, again, I was thanking Brother King for being on the show with us today and sharing, his knowledge, his wisdom, his insight, his story from his iconic brother, who there was a historical incident that happened that changed us in the way we live today, 30 years later. Rodney King was a pivotal figure in our African-American history in this country as it relates to our relationship with law enforcement and all the progress that has been made since then. So having him on the show is incredible. So I can appreciate that. At the same time, and in the iconic words of your brother, Mr. King, can we get along? And I think with the folks who are out there supporting us, being alliances with us, I think that has shown what your brother has shown the world, that we can pull people together to support a cause that I didn't see 30 years ago. So I think that that's critical. And also, too, in terms of you saying you're not educated, brother, you might not be formally educated, but you informally educated, brother. So you brought a lot of intelligence to the show, articulation with your words. And in addition to, I heard that you took care of our guy behind the scenes, brother Brian, since he was 10 years old. He also said the incredible athlete. So you bring a lot of talent.
Thank you, Brian. You know, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, man. He's been a real good friend.
Yeah.
And growing up, man, I don't think there was a situation that occurred where somebody got physical with him and he informed me and I didn't do nothing. Because I knew he was so cool and he was so good of a guy. Even though I was scared to fault who I fought, I did it for Brian, you know. And it came out good though, you know. But yeah, he helped me out too, though.
Good. So it sounds like you've been watching over the community for a long time, brother, and we appreciate you. And I think the other things I think we should also leave with, we had an incredible discussion today that I'm still processing, that hopefully we'll follow up more, Anthony, you know, in the coming weeks as we continue to deal with this issue, this just traumatic situation, but also too. But I also want to talk about what we're also seeing that it's doing in the community and how it's bringing us together. How we've got cleanup crews, how we got people just taking care of their neighborhoods, taking care of their businesses, forming together, police presence or not, in terms of supporting us, in terms of making sure that we feel safe. We're taking care of it ourselves and coming together as a community. And I've seen Black, white, Latino, Somali, Asian, all of us coming together as a community. And so, to the words that Brother King said earlier, you know, I'm a spiritual guy. You know, and it was so critical what you said, Brother King, when you said God allowed it to happen. And I truly, truly believe that, because certain things has to happen in order for other things to happen. There's sacrifices that have to be made, and to condolences to the family. But historically, this has happened many, 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 many years and decades and centuries, that God has allowed things to happen in order for other things to happen for the good and for the betterment of our society, for our people. So I appreciate you saying that, because that's me through and through, brother, in terms of what you just said. So I can appreciate that.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to make it brief. We need to go back, you all, to Adam and Eve. But more so, we need to go back to that serpent. That serpent convinced Eve to eat of the fruit, which brought a plague and a curse upon us. So too, like today, there is a deception. You see, this is a serious distraction, a cold, dark moment for us. You know what I'm saying? Similar to us losing our freedom in the Garden of Eden, you know? And so it just goes to show that deception, as a result of deception, it brought about this death that we all will eventually experience until God resurrect us and wake us back up. But our years are 70 and 80 if because of special mightiness. But my point is, in order for us to understand a lot of the Bible, we had to understand the deceptive part of Adam and Eve, which cursed us. So, you know, this deceptive act against us will bring us about a better understanding of what we need to do. First, be right with God. And then second of all, just beware of the predators that's out there.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Brother.
All right. Thank you guys for having me, man.
Yes, thank you, man. Hey, again, this is the Evolution of Fatherhood. You can catch us on Sundays at 12 o'clock. Like, share, go to the page, repost this over again. This is your man, Anthony Tunsil, better known as Mr. Visa 360. I hope out of this show you got something out of it. I hope we was able to convey the message of what we're talking about, and to see Black men, Black fathers talk about issues that concern us, which is this is what the platform is about. You've been watching the Evolution of Fatherhood show, and I'll see y'all next Sunday at 12 o'clock. Peace out.